the night of the 15th of May 2025. Meet a lot of people out and about who watch my channel. I see there about the bicycle stand in most expensive in the world at the Irish Parliament. All Ireland was on the news tonight, where they spent €336,000 for a stand for something like 12 bikes. Anyway, this is what we have, but it brings to mind a thing that happened to me. I was a sergeant in a station, and it wasn't a district headquarters station. It was the second biggest town in the district. It was the superintendent in the main town, and I was the sergeant in charge. And I had about 14 of a staff or thereabouts. But anyway, every half year in the Guards, there comes a thing called the half-yearly requisition of stationery. Now, you probably thought that we're out fighting crime and fighting all kinds of things and all things that happen. And certainly there was a bit of that as well. 1/4 of all crimes were sexual, people reporting sex. And 1/4 of all more accidents on cars on the roads were motorcyclists alone. So we were belting away anyway, but I got this thing out in the post, bit like my telephone bill here, half-yearly requisition of stationery. Now, the Guards use an awful lot of books, and I don't know about now with computers, but it's very important. Everything's kept a strict record of. That mightn't be understood, but that is very, very important. So, for example, if a court sends out a warrant, that it's recorded and that somebody has it and you know exactly where it is. And the system works well. In fact, I could keep it better when I work for the state than I can keep my own records. I'm always losing bits of paper here and there. But anyway, so I went up to the store. There's a wee store up at the back, and I noticed the door was very hard to open. And when I went in, it was about, I'd say, 9 feet in, and it was about 5 feet wide. And there was a wee window over in the corner of it, at the side of the station, which was a single-story building. And when I eventually pushed my way in and got the light on, I discovered it was full of books and forms. Full up of books, right away down. I'd say there was some of them there from before the Second World War. Now, books you'd have in the Garda station is inspection books. When the superintendent come out, he'd write in what he found. You'd have a warrant register. You'd have plenty of correspondence registers. They were in regular use. And you had diaries, because the guard will write, whoever's in charge of the station, or if there's nobody there, the guard himself will write, at 4 p.m. on this date, Garda Smith left regular on duty. And then at 12 o'clock, he returned regular off duty. And the purpose of the word regular is, supposing he was involved in an accident or somebody attacked him, or maybe tried to run him over or something, and he injured his foot, you'd write that. You wouldn't write regular. You only write regular if he come back without an incident. Do you understand? So also he might come in with a prisoner that he arrested for some depredation or whatever. So there's all these records. There's a register of dogs seized, the firearms register. And the firearms register you had to write all the guns into it, and then they were renewed each year. And when it got over to the end, there was several columns. When you got to the end, you had to write the whole register out again. You had to write the whole register. You couldn't tear out any pages or anything. And there was no number. It was Jack Riley, 2 Main Street, Templemore, make a gun, Winchester, type, double barrel, breech loader, DBBL, and then what type of license he had. And so that time, now it's every 3 years you renew a gun, but that time they were all renewed in August every year. And there was a £13.50 fee, £13.50 fee for renewing it. And of course this money was coming in, and very often it would come in when there'd be no one there, only 1 or 2 guards, and there was always the danger of it being stolen by guards, or some guard come in and out and see it. That was always a problem, but I think there was only one of them stolen in all my time. But anyway, I went up to the room and I looked in there, and I just can't remember every single type of register there is. But any event, there's forms as well. There's a big press of forms because you use a lot of forms. You really have to use an awful lot of forms. So applying for a bookmaker's license, there's a form. Applying for a firearm certificate, there's a form. Applying for a street and house-to-house collections permit, there's a form. Reporting a death, a sudden death, a form 104 has to go to the coroner. And so they were there as well. So I went up anyway and I had plenty of everything. The only thing I was short of was diaries for writing in the day-to-day occurrences, correspondence books. That's all I needed. Now, I had those books in it, that thickness. They were as thick as the telephone register. And they were bound with leather. They were really, they were done. Like, you'd think you were looking into the tomb of Tutankhamun or Marsh's library or whatever. And kind of fuzzy leather, like leather inside out, suede. It was suede. And then the thing was all in Irish, the writing. And there could be that size. Big registers, and most of them had become obsolete because the things, like for example, the register of dogs seized. Well, there was a dog warden. That's kind of gone now. So that would be big time, maybe in 1930. So right, we and then there'd be a bicycle register, and then there was a property register. All property had to be recorded, money or anything handed in, and there was a procedure for dealing with that. And you had to get permission then to dispose of the property after a year and a day. So I've all that explained to you anyway. But anyway, I only needed 2 books, and I put out my requisition, and I wrote down the 2. I needed 12 diaries and 12 correspondence registers. I had plenty of the rest. I could sell them. There was registers in, I'd say the whole store had 200,000 euros at that time, or pounds, worth of registers. Any of them today would easily cost you 70 to 80 euros, and I don't think you'd get them. They were the highest quality. So I was having none of that. I didn't want them. I only wanted me 2 things. And then I wanted a fistful of other forms as well. And I ordered a few forms as well. Anyway, that was all right. I sent it in, signed and sent it in. That went into the district, and I waited. Forgot about it. About 4 weeks later, I got a call to send the patrol car into the main town, and in it went, and it came back out, and the boot was full to the brim of registers. There was the few I asked for, but the rest of them were sent anyway. So I had about 15 more registers of dogs seized when I had already 15 used, and maybe none of them being used. I had other books that were not needed for at least 3 or 4 years, and maybe never. And those books we never heard of, all bound of the very best. We easily got, I'd say, 50,000 euros worth of books in the boot of the patrol car, after me only ordered in the small amount. Now, what was happening? This happened several times. I was in several stations. A big portion of Garda filing space is taken up with registers. Now, I have to be very careful because I don't know who prints these. There is a publisher. And if I, as the fella said, inseminate, which the right word is insinuate, but farmer with cows, he'd say inseminate, insinuate, whatever you like yourself. If I insinuate that there was some kind of a scam going on, or that the book publisher was deliberately dumping his books and getting paid for them and throwing them over to us to dump in the dump, it would be actionable. So I can't really say that. I don't know how this come about. It could be somebody within the Garda force that was deliberately getting his hands greased, or it could be some fella that just was careless. We don't know. We'll never know. And we can't do anything about it now because it's 25 years ago. Or maybe 30 years ago. So we leave that and not casting any aspersions. I don't know what happened. But I know, between me filling in my form, and I'm convinced in this case, and I even spoke to the district clerk and told him this, there was nobody at my level that was rigging it. They were sending in the proper returns, and they knew what they needed. And I was talking about this among the guards and the sergeants and that. So they knew about it, and I don't think they were deliberately doing it anywhere in my district. But when it went up to Dublin, somebody was rigging it some way. They were ignoring all the requests that went up, and they were said that was one station. And there was, when I say my one, two, three, four, five. There was 5 stations in that district that I can think of. And every one of them were getting a bootload of stuff. So if you took the main district headquarters station, you had a good full of a DPP, you know, the delivery, the courier vans. You had with them well packed with registers. So what I'm saying is, in my opinion, there is about 17 to 30 million euros worth of unused registers in every Garda station in the country. Maybe not the small ones, possibly not RD, possibly not, I don't know if there's one in Loud now, Hackballs Cross, there mightn't be that many there, but in any relatively big station, whether it's a district headquarters or not, could be Trim, could be Dunboyne if there's one there, but there's one in Balbriggan, Ashburn. There's millions of euros of taxpayers' money on big fancy books that will never be used, and all the guards can do is get them and bring them out to the landfill and dump them. And that's going on yet. If any recently retired guard has anything to say on that, post underneath, or if they're still serving, get someone to post if it's going on or not. There's a store somewhere in every reasonably sized station. If it has 7 or 8 guards in it, and this has been landed out twice a year, throwing the money away on this. Who benefits, I don't know. Why it's doing it, I don't know. But I was more or less told that there's nothing I could do. I rang up and I said, I don't need the half of this stuff. You have it out there now, do take it. But I'll tell you, somebody was paying for it. I can't say who was paying for it. I can't say who was gaining. It could be just force of habit or whatever, but a very expensive. Imagine us throwing money away like that on unnecessary stationery in the police force. And what must it be in hospitals, and what must it be everywhere else? They're the greatest crowd of rascals is our government. They have no fiscal responsibility, no care about what to do. That's the best I can say. And I'll tell you, there'll be more bicycle shed scandals, and there'll be more of that. They can't handle money. They can't handle anything. And our people continually vote for these donkeys. Good luck. We'll see you back. Thank you.